Welcome to Intuitively Speaking. I'm Reverend Mary Martin, and I'm happy that you have joined me. I want to discuss just two topics for you to digest and do with what you will. The first, understand the requirement to elect only those with proven high ethical standards. This means we, you and I, have to accept some responsibility for the leaders we choose. The question is, but isn't it the job of others to do the background, to do the investigations, to thoroughly understand the one being put forward? Isn't it their job to bring us candidates? That may be so, but that does not resolve us from the responsibility of ensuring before this one receives our vote or our recommendations. Some societies choose their leaders based on consensus. They all agree that this one, or maybe two, or maybe three, or a group have consensus. Because we can trust consensus more than a simple majority or even 60%. Remember that not all candidates are put forward because of their high ethical standards. Really, you say? Well, of course. Greed comes into play. Extortion comes into play. Entities with power over another who have ulterior motives comes into play. So there are factors that cause us pause and remind us that we have an obligation, not just responsibility, to do our own work. Never allow any entity to do all of your thinking for you. What is this called? Critical thinking. You have the ability, we have the ability to assess the big picture if we choose. And we know the results of someone or group placed in high positions and positions of authority. Not just government, military, religious sectors, but think community level, think neighborhood level, think local level, think even marriage. Yes, people are presented to us all the time whose intent may be nefarious and may not be for our greater good. Yes, we know that systems can be corrupt. How can they be corrupt? Because we allow it. We sit back, stand back, keep our mouths closed while things take place that step by step reduce our power, reduces our influence. sometimes even reduces our personhood, sometimes reducing our very lives. Our responsibility is to be diligent, to be vigilant, to speak out, to speak up, to stand up, to look at the whole picture. And again, we might say, well, there's a process to be followed, isn't there? Of course. But remember, you can't trust the process if the process is not followed. We have a responsibility, yes, an obligation to ask questions. Never settle for the sit down, be quiet, because we or I know what's best for you. Always challenge that. Always stand for your own principles. And it means, yes, we have to know ourselves. We have to know our power. And we have to want to retain our standing, our dignity, our rights. It may be easier to sit back and allow others to make decisions for us at every turn. Why? Because we have placed them in positions of power. But remember, if it is we who have placed them in those positions, they must be accountable to us. And the next topic, we well know, it's very common, is to always confront bullies. Do not enable them. Again, always confront bullies. Do not enable them. A bully does more than persuade. A bully uses force. A bully lies. A bully extorts. A bully does not care about how we feel and our participation in what they feel they should control. And sometimes what they feel they can control is you. Bullies are made. Yes, we make bullies. Beginning very early, we have learned to step aside or to avoid, to compensate, or even enable them. Why? Because we are under the mistaken belief that peace is more important, that things will probably work out in the end. That's usually not the case, though, because when we avoid, when we shut down or run or enable, we make the bully stronger. Where are bullies? Everywhere. Because society has not done a good job of helping us identify and deal with support against those who try to take charge of us and have nefarious intentions. In an earlier time, some societies understood how to deal with the grown-up bully, the big bully, the enable bully. The concept is simple. It's one for the many. And we've heard the stories. Many of us have been raised on these stories. We may call them myths. We may call them biblical. We may call them historical. And for those who don't know, the word history comes from the European concept of God's story. Yes, a region, a very small region of the globe, believed the world was flat and that the Creator made only men. That means those with testosterone and penises in His image. So the story is told from God's, His perspective. So the German word Heilsgeschichte, about the creation story, His story, became shortened to history. And so those who wanted to tell our stories were prevented to do so by power, weaponry, by nations who took over societies and were only allowed to accept His story. Two of the most popular stories were, well, the first one is about giants, and the giants specifically who hurt people who were smaller, who took advantage, who held brute power and force over whole societies. Armies, groups of trained persons were not able to effectively deal with these tyrant giants. But the story goes, there was one young person who was bold enough to say, I will deal with this bully, this Goliath. Even though this Goliath is larger than I and all of us, I believe I can do it. The story continues that when the Goliath showed up, this giant probably laughed at this puny human who was not well armed, except for this little slingshot and a rock. But what the Goliath didn't know was this little one had a plan that surely was not expected by this giant. So I can see or imagine this Goliath rearing back the head, laughing, saying, are you kidding me? Well, go ahead. Give me your best shot. With that, young David, soon to be King David, swung around his slingshot and with the rock in it and let it go. It hit the Goliath right here between the eyes and felled this big guy and killed the Goliath. Again, one life for the many. And the second story is very popular. Old, ancient story about dragons. Ancient peoples saw that some dragons were cruel. Some dragons were evil. Some dragons did much destruction. What could be done? Again, these flying creatures, large creatures, could be subdued if the peoples found a way to snare the dragon. And then once caught in the snare, it was necessary then to cut off the head of the dragon. That was how the one for many worked out to save the peoples. So it's important to stop a bully when the bully is small, manageable. Train the bully, or else we find that the enabled one grows up to be head of a crime family, a despotic leader with power. By then, it's very difficult to break loose, to break free from the bully who has been allowed to gain momentum through an entire lifetime. So think about the concept of one to save the many. It's not a new concept. And remember, it is crucial to always make sure the person placed in leadership has high ethical standards, and much pain, suffering, loss can be avoided. It's up to us to understand our power, to think critically. And I hope you realize that the first concept discussed and the second concept discussed are related. May we always seek the best and the highest for ourselves and for each other. Thank you.